There's something unsettling about being on the open road, miles away from civilization, surrounded by darkness, with nothing but the unknown ahead. It's supposed to be freeing, an escape, but sometimes the road leads you straight into something you were never meant to find. Road trips are meant to be an adventure. You grab some friends, pack up the car, blast your favourite songs and hit the highway, just you and the endless stretch of road ahead. But every now and then, that adventure turns into something else, something you can't explain. Tonight, I'll share 3 terrifying true road trip horror stories. Some are unexplainable, some are disturbing. And all of them will make you think twice before picking up a stranger on the side of the road. This first story is one that has been told over and over again. Different places, different roads, but the ending is always the same. This is the story of the vanishing hitchhiker. It was a cold autumn night when 3 friends, Josh, Emily and Mark, were driving down an empty back road on their way home from a weekend trip. The highway had been shut down due to an accident, forcing them onto this long, winding detour through the woods. The only lights were from their car headlights, casting long shadows on the road ahead. They hadn't seen another car in miles until they saw her. A girl standing on the side of the road, pale, wearing a light dress, completely out of place in the cold. She looked young, maybe early 20s, her long, dark hair covering part of her face. Emily, oh my God, should we stop? Mark, I don't know. This is how horror movies start. Josh, come on, guys. She looks like she needs help. So they pulled over. The girl didn't move at first. She just stood there, staring at them. Then, slowly she walked forward and slid into the back seat without a word. She was quiet, too quiet. Emily tried to ask where she was going, if she was okay. The girl only whispered one thing. They kept driving. The longer they were on the road, the colder the car seemed to get. Emily could feel a chill creeping up her spine, but she told herself it was just her imagination. A few miles later, the girl finally spoke again. Turn left up ahead. Josh nodded, gripping the wheel. As he turned onto a narrow dirt road, he glanced at the rearview mirror to check on her. She was gone. The back seat was completely empty. Emily turned, gasping. Emily. The seat where the girl had been sitting was still ice cold. Mark, dude, where the hell did she go? Josh slammed on the brakes. The car skidded to a stop, kicking up dust. They jumped out, shining their phone flashlights around. But there was no sign of her. No footprints, nothing. Just an old, rusted road sign a few feet ahead, deep, with a name on it. It was a marker for a small, abandoned cemetery, and beneath it, faded but still visible, was a name. The same name Emily had seen stitched onto the girl's dress. They never talked about it again. There's a rule that every solo traveller should follow. Always check your back seat before getting in your car. Most of the time it's just a silly precaution. Most of the time there's nothing there. But sometimes there is. This is the true story of a woman who didn't realize she had a passenger until it was almost too late. Lisa had been driving for hours. It was late, past midnight, and she was completely alone on a stretch of empty highway. She was exhausted, but she kept pushing through, eager to get home. Her gas tank, however, had other plans. Lisa sighed as she spotted a lone gas station up ahead, One of those old, run-down places you only see in horror movies, the kind that barely looks open. She pulled in, the fluorescent lights flickering above as she parked. The place was deserted, except for the old man working behind the counter, staring at her through the window. She quickly paid for her gas, avoiding eye contact. The man was strange. He kept shifting on his feet, glancing outside nervously. Then, as she turned to leave, his voice stopped her. Lisa froze. "Old man, hey, wait a second." She frowned. She had just watched him swipe it. It went through. "Old man, you need to come inside for a minute. There's a problem with your card." "Lisa? No, it's fine," she muttered, stepping toward the door, but the man moved fast, blocking her way. "Old man, please," he said, almost desperate now. "Come inside, just for a second." Lisa's heart pounded. Everything in her gut told her to run. She shoved past him, yanking the door open, and then she heard it. A soft shuffle, a noise coming from the back seat. Lisa turned. Her breath caught in her throat. The old man wasn't trying to scare her. He was trying to save her. Without thinking, she bolted back inside the gas station, locking the door behind her. The man didn't say a word. He just pointed at her car. And that's when she saw it. A shadow moving in the back seat. A man, hunched over, trying to stay hidden. The stranger in her car lifted his head and smiled. Lisa didn't move. She didn't breathe. The old man grabbed his phone and dialed 911. But before the cops arrived, the man in the back seat slipped out and disappeared into the night. Lisa never saw him again, and she never forgot to check her back seat after that. Sometimes, after a long drive, all you want is a place to rest. A warm bed, a quiet night. But some places were never meant to be stayed in. This is the true story of a couple who checked into a motel and almost never checked out. Jake and Vanessa had been driving all day. Their road trip was supposed to be fun, but after nearly 12 hours on the road, they were exhausted. So when they spotted a tiny roadside motel just off the highway, they didn't think twice about pulling in. It was old, run down. The neon sign flickered, barely hanging on to life. "It's just for one night," Vanessa muttered as they stepped inside. The man at the front desk looked off. His eyes were sunken, his smile stretched a little too wide. Motel clerk. "Travelling late, huh?" he said, sliding an old-fashioned key across the counter. "Motel clerk. Not many people stop here anymore." Jake forced a polite laugh. "Jake? Yeah, we just needed a place to crash." But as Vanessa reached for the key, his hand suddenly shot out, gripping hers. "Motel clerk, take room 6, he whispered, "not 7. "Oh, okay," she stammered, quickly pulling away. The couple exchanged uneasy glances, but brushed it off. Maybe the guy was just weird. They headed to room 6, tossing their bags onto the creaky bed. The place smelled musty, the wallpaper peeling in spots, but it was just for one night. Jake flopped onto the mattress, while Vanessa freshened up in the tiny bathroom. That's when they heard it. Vanessa froze, her toothbrush halfway to her mouth. "Vanessa? Jake? Jake? Yeah, Vanessa, did you hear?" Jake sat up, frowning. He pulled back the thin, dusty curtain and nearly jumped back. Outside, barely visible in the dim parking lot light, was a man, standing perfectly still, staring at their room. Is he just standing there? Jake swallowed hard. Jake, yeah. The man didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there, his head tilted slightly like he was listening. Then, just as Jake was about to say something, the man's mouth stretched into a grin, and he tapped on the window again. Vanessa whispered, grabbing her bag. "Vanessa, screw this, let's go!" Jake nodded. They threw their stuff together in record time and rushed for the door. But as Jake's hand gripped the knob, it wouldn't turn. The door was locked. From the outside, Vanessa... "What the hell?" Jake banged on the door. "Jake, hey, let us out!" Then, just as suddenly as it locked, the door swung open, and the motel clerk was standing right there. His face was grim, his voice low. "Motel clerk, VO, I told you not to take room 7. Without another word, he stepped aside, letting them pass. Jake and Vanessa didn't ask questions. They raced to their car, sped out of the lot, and never looked back. But as they merged onto the highway, Vanessa glanced in the rearview mirror. And for just a second, just before the motel faded into darkness, she swore she saw that man from the window, standing in front of room 7, grinning